Impact of Influence, the Murdaugh family murders. This is the unfolding story of a powerful South Carolina family, the mysterious deaths they are linked to, and our quest to bring you the truth. Hello, friend. So grateful you can spend time with us. I'm Matt Harris. Seton Tucker is here. You can find Impact of Influence on Facebook. And we have been putting up some videos as we begin a YouTube channel, Impact of Influence. You can find the link on the Facebook page.
Don't watch those, especially today, because it's Friday. I didn't think we were recording. Apparently, it's best to wear solid colors when you're filming. And Matt and I are both wearing patterns, and they could not be more clashing patterns. It's terrible. So unless you want to watch, like, laugh, if you want a good laugh, go check it out.
Look at the dizziness you'll get from the patterns.
Yes.
We are in today because there's a couple things we have to cover involving Murdaugh and the evidentiary hearing that his team hopes to get regarding jury tampering by Becky Hill, the clerk of courts, during the Murdaugh murder trials.
And the motion for a new trial that we discussed on our last episode. But it's been a big week with a lot of just movement happening in all things Murdaugh. First, there was this writ of prohibition that the defense filed, which was an effort to get Judge Newman removed. And this week, Judge Newman voluntarily recused himself from all the murder stuff.
The stuff that involves the jury tampering.
Right.
Because he may be a witness to it. It's what he said. He said, I'm not saying that I'm an impartial or anything like that. I'm just saying, though, that maybe I could be a witness in this.
Well, I don't know if that's what he's saying or not. If you read the order, I mean, he has stepped away from the murder stuff, which is very limited. He did not step away from the financial trials. And it's been opined by Sarah Azari that possibly this is because he feels that he may be a witness to this. Also, Eric Bland said in a tweet, he kind of insinuated that someone maybe talked in Judge Newman's ear. So maybe
somebody from
the court was going to rule on that. And the Supreme Court issues this order that we don't need this writ of prohibition anymore, but it was still kind of the financial crime stuff looming in the air.
An attorney told me in South Carolina that the state Supreme Court would, if they had their druthers, would not want to ask any judge to recuse themselves. So it's very possible someone said, hey, can you just help us out with this and just recuse yourself as a witness for just this very limited thing on the jury tampering?
And I mean, I don't know that he has any sort of insider knowledge. That just is maybe his opinion.
Yep, of course. Yeah, that's just rumor and conjecture. Judge Newman, however, is still part of the financial crimes. Now, the Murdaugh team had asked him to recuse himself from that. And so that hearing was today, and Judge Newman says, I'm not recusing myself.
And there were a lot of rumors that there were possible plea negotiations happening, which they did.
They did. It was supposed to start at 10?
10 a.m. As we're recording it today. And I don't think there was just a lot of dead space. I felt bad for all the people who were live blogging this because they were having to. I was watching Fitz News and Jen Wood, and she was just having to answer a lot of the same questions over and over again because we were just watching people kind of mill around the courtroom.
So they did reach a plea, and let's take a listen and watch Creighton Waters read off the charges and the plea.
The first indictment is 2021 GS 4727, and pursuant to this plea agreement, Mr. Murdaugh will be pleading to count 2, which is money laundering, value $100,000 or more, and that will be a negotiated sentence of 20 years. The second count to which he will be pleading is in 2021 GS 4728. This indictment was venued in Bamberg County and dealt with the crimes committed, first of all, in the diversion of the fees in the case that he shared with Chris Wilson from the firm, as well as ultimately not paying back, ultimately convincing Chris Wilson to cover $192,000 of those fees. Your Honor, he will be pleading in this for that indictment, count 1, for false pretenses, $10,000 or more, for a sentence of 10 years. as well as count 7, which is false pretenses, 10,000 or more, for another 10 years. The third indictment is 2021 GS 4729. This is the crime that is venued in Allendale County. The victim in this case was Dion Martin, and Mr. Murdaugh has agreed to plead guilty to count 1, breach of trust with fraudulent intent, $10,000 or more, for a negotiated sentence of 10 years. The next one is 2021 GS 4730. This is venued here in Beaufort County, and this is the indictment that the state was prepared to try a week from Monday. This is the case involving the Satterfield matter, and he has agreed to plea to count 4, which is 2021 GS 4730, count 4 for 10 years. 2021 GS 4730, count 5 for 20 years, and 2021 GS 4730, count 8 for 20 years. Those latter 2 were money laundering. Those are 20-year offenses that are at 85% time that must be served. Your Honor, the next indictment to which you'll be pleading is 2021 GS 4731. This is where the victim was Manuel Santos Cristiani, and he will be pleading to breach of trust in count 1, and the negotiated sentence is 10 years. The next indictment, 2021 GS 4732, this is venued in Hampton County, and the victim was Randy Drawdy, and in that particular matter, he will be pleading to breach of trust, $2,000 to $10,000, and the negotiated sentence is 5 years. The next indictment is 2021 GS 4733, and this matter involved the estate of Blondell Gary and venued in Hampton County. In that particular case, he will be pleading guilty to count 2 for money laundering, value $100,000 or more. The negotiated sentence will be 20 years. The next indictment is 2021 GS 4734. This is venued in Hampton County, and the victim was Chris Anderson, and he will be pleading to count 2, which is money laundering $100,000 or more, with a negotiated sentence of 20 years. The next one is 2021 GS 4735. This is venued in Beaufort County, and the victim is Jordan Jinks. He will be pleading to forgery, 2021 GS 4735, count 5, for a negotiated sentence of 10 years. The next one is 2021 GS 4736. This is venued in Hampton County. The victim is Johnny Bush, and he will be pleading to count 2, which is computer crime, value more than $10,000, for a negotiated sentence of 5 years. The next one is 2021 GS 4737. He will be pleading to count 1 in that one. That is venued in Hampton County, and the victim was Jamie Risher, and he will be pleading to a negotiated sentence of 10 years. The next one is 2021 GS 4738. This is venued in Colleton County, and the victim was the estate of Sandra Taylor. He will be pleading in that matter to 2021 GS 4738, count 2, for money laundering. That's an 85% offense, and he will be pleading to a 7-year sentence on that particular crime that will be consecutive to count 5 of 2021 GS 30. The next one is 2022 GS 4701. This is venued in Hampton County. The victim was Natasha Thomas, and he will be pleading to breach of trust in count 1 to a negotiated sentence of 10 years. The next one is 2022 GS 4702. In this instance, the victim was Hakeem Pinkney, and the heirs of Hakeem Pinkney. That is venued in Hampton County. He will be pleading to count 1, breach of trust, for a negotiated sentence of 10 years. The next one is 2022 GS 4703. This is venued in Allendale County, and the victim was Arthur Badger. He will be pleading to count 1, breach of trust, for a negotiated sentence of 10 years. Additionally, 2022 GS 4710. This is venued in Colleton County. This actually had a criminal conspiracy and a drug offense in it. He will be pleading to the criminal conspiracy in that particular matter for a negotiated sentence of 5 years. The next one is 2022 GS 4723. This is venued in Hampton County, and the victim is Randy Murdaugh and the law firm. He will be pleading to count 3, which is money laundering, value more than $100,000, and for a negotiated sentence of 20 years. Your Honor, I would add that that particular count, and only that particular count, the plea will be pursuant to Alford. Moving on to 2022 GS 4724. This is, again, the law firm being the victim venued in Colleton County, and he will be pleading to count 3 of obtaining signature of property by false pretenses for a negotiated sentence of 10 years. Finally, we have 2022 GS 4734. This is the series of indictments that related to his tax evasion based on his more than a decade-long schemes to defraud clients and as well as defraud the South Carolina Department of Revenue. He will be pleading to count 9 of that particular indictment, and that will be willful attempt to evade a tax, and the negotiated sentence will be 5 years. Your Honor, obviously we are here today to resolve indictments that span the region and that span a number of counties. And this, of course, has materialized here today as we showed up for pretrial proceedings. And so obviously the proposal that we have for Your Honor is to take these pleas today with these negotiated sentences that result in a net lead sentence of 27 years at 85% time. We do request that we defer sentencing to a later time so that all the various victims can be notified. We have been in the process of notifying them, but obviously want that proceeding to take place at a time where they can be present and speak to the court if they wish to. So we do have that request to Your Honor. Additionally, as we look at this particular plea agreement, because we have crimes to which he is pleading in various counties, we would request that there be a colloquy with the defendant to waive venue for those counties other than Beaufort to resolve those matters here today with this plea. In looking through the various provisions in the plea agreement, and we've gone over them in great detail with counsel, and I believe counsel has gone over them with his client. It sets forth the various pleas and the various counts to which he will be pleading that I just detailed, as well as the negotiated sentences. It also, though, has in this particular plea agreement that Mr. Murdaugh will waive any appeals that he may have and any post-conviction relief appeal that he may have as it relates to the financial matters that we are addressing here today, thus bringing finality to this sentence and to this chapter in the history of the South Carolina judicial system.
So there's a laundry list to sort through on that.
Well, 27 years, 85% required due to the money laundering charge. So that's what, 23 years. He's 55. Mm-hmm. Do the math.
65, 75, 78.
78. So if by the chance that the murder conviction is done, then he would.
If some reason he gets out of the murder thing.
Right. He's at least in jail till 70.
At least.
8 years old.
And I would imagine they want him in federal prison instead of state prison. So we'll have to see how that works out.
Yeah, I don't know how that works out.
Yeah.
Need to speak with a lawyer and let them
we have some time to
tell
us.
It.
Yeah. So, and then after it was, then we went to Judge Newman talking to Alex Murdaugh.
Right. And he says he doesn't have to take this plea. But it appears as if he's going to. There's going to be a hearing held on November 28th at 10 a.m. Or not a hearing. I guess it's...
Yeah, they still call it a...
do they call it?
They still call it a sentencing hearing, even though everybody's agreed on everything.
Seems like a done deal, but I guess there's this victim bill of rights where the victims will have the opportunity to say what they need to or want to say.
But it will have no bearing on the sentencing because that's all in a tidy bow right now.
Right.
We should hear a little bit of Alex Murdaugh.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's listen to more of the hearing.
Mr. Harpootlian.
Your Honor, Mr. Murdaugh agrees with the state's rendition concerning the plea agreement. He has executed that plea agreement. We would also withdraw our motion for recusal so we can proceed with you being the judge on this matter. I think that's all I would say prior to you having the colloquy with Mr. Mr. Murdaugh. Jim?
Mr. Griffin, any comment at this point?
No, Your Honor, I have nothing further to add.
Mr. Murdaugh, you've heard what Mr. Waters has stated. Do you agree with the statements he has made?
Yes, sir.
And do you wish to withdraw your formally entered plea of not guilty and plead guilty to each and every one of these charges?
I do.
You, your lawyer, and the prosecutor have negotiated a sentence in this matter that's been recited by Mr. Waters. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And where there's a negotiated sentence, either I will accept the plea, guilty plea, and give you the exact sentence that you, your lawyer, and the prosecutor have negotiated, or I will not accept your guilty plea. Do you understand that?
I do, yes, sir.
And would you like for me to accept the guilty plea and impose a negotiated sentence?
Yes, sir, I would.
And because these cases, various counts are venued in various counties, Orangeburg County, Hampton County, Colleton County, Bamberg County, Allendale County, I think that in addition to Beaufort, do you wish to waive venue from those counties to have the case heard here in Beaufort?
I do.
Is there any question in your mind as to whether or not you wish to proceed with this guilty plea?
No, sir, there's no question in my mind.
Do you believe you've had enough time to think about it?
Yes, sir, I do.
Are
Had a
you
long
set?
time to think about it.
I can imagine. Do you believe that you've had effective representation by Mr. Arputian and Mr. Griffin?
Absolutely.
Now, this plea agreement includes a provision providing for a waiver of appeal and waiver of filing any post-conviction relief, as well as ordering restitution. You have reviewed those provisions and are fully informed and agree with those provisions.
I am, yes, sir.
Under the Victim's Bill of Rights, the court must ensure that the Victim's Bill of Rights have been complied with. The state is well aware of that, as well as your lawyers. And the victims have the right to be heard prior to the official imposition of any sentence or the official acceptance of a guilty plea. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
And so it's the intent of the court, assuming a factual basis is established by Mr. Waters or Mr. James, that the court will accept this guilty plea contingent upon the Victim's Bill of Rights being satisfied. Therefore, any sentencing will take place at a subsequent hearing, which will be on November 28th at 10 o'clock. Do you understand that?
It'll be when, sir?
November 28th.
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah, Tuesday.
Tuesday, I'm sorry.
I understood it wouldn't be today. Yes, sir. I understand that.
All right. And understanding all that has been stated up to this point, how do you plead?
I plead guilty, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. You can be seated, and we'll hear from Mr. Waters.
So, Alex said I had a lot of time to think.
Yeah.
But was he thinking about his murder charges too? I'm sure he had a lot to think about.
Yeah. It was interesting. I mean, he wholeheartedly said that he thinks that he has received great representation by Dick Harpootlian and Jim Griffin. Leading up to this, they had filed a motion to change the venue, and Judge Newman said, "Are you fine keeping it in Beaufort?"
Now that they've decided on a
Now that
sentence,
they've
yeah.
decided on it, which of course he agreed to.
Right.
And also the other motion that they had filed was to have Judge Newman removed from the financial crimes hearing, and they rescinded that as well.
Yeah, because it's all settled. Then after that, Creighton Waters talked, and he might still be talking.
He read through it. I know he was reading. He was going through every and they're very serious crimes, they are. But he was reading through all of the financial crimes and Alex's participation in those.
How it happened, how it occurred.
Right, and it's important to hear those things, but I think it would be even more important to hear from the victims.
Yeah, because we've already heard everything that Creighton was saying, but I mean, maybe.
But some people might not have. I mean, we've heard it all because we've followed this case for.
That's true.
But
he has pled
a long
guilty,
time.
So we get it. I was like, all right, Creighton, I know you're running for office, but okay. No, he's not officially. We'll have, but he's got to do what he's got to do, I guess. Anything else we want to mention before we take off here? Because this is a quickie.
No, just it's Friday, and I think this is our 5th podcast we've recorded this week. We also do one with Michael DeWitt from Hampton of the Wicked South. So we've had we have really a lot of great interviews coming up with just different guests, but we felt the need to come in here and do this one because of just the breaking news.
Meanwhile, my daughter's coming back from college, and I locked her out. So she's sitting here with a bunch of laundry in my driveway.
Oh, no. All right. Well, we need to end on that.
You can find us, Impact of Influence, on Facebook. Please rate and comment and share and give us your feedback. We are always appreciative. We'll talk soon, friend.